Hello, hello, everybody. It's Luke here. Thought it was an appropriate day, considering it is May 4th, to talk to you about Star Wars, new Star Wars movie, Star Wars to me, and all sorts of Star Wars stuff. So, first off, going to start this video with possible spoilers. Also, going to be going more in depth into Star Wars, so spoiler alert if you don't want to possibly spoil the rest of the movies, if you possibly don't want any idea, you just want to be fresh going into these movies, please, this is now your time to back out. Spoiler warning, and now let's go on. So, I think that Star Wars is going to be just like shedding its, old, in my eyes, I think it's just abandoning its roots. Right now, the movies are just being made to profit. I mean, let's be honest. Like, it was bought by Disney, and they just want to make money. Like, they give some freedoms to the people to make the movie. Don't get me wrong. It's not like these guys aren't making the movie. Like, they get to make the movie they want to make. Like, it's not like there aren't decisions that can be made on the part of the director and things like this. However, the end of the day, take Marvel for example. At the end of the day, the Russo brothers had this whole plan for Avengers, 11-year plan, right? Does it fucking matter? Did that stop Kevin Feige from going Captain Marvel? Like, did that did that not happen? Like, I see that as just an example of them just saying, fuck you, we don't care about your story, we don't care about anything, we want the money, we want to try and push this out, let's just fucking crank this garbage out, right? And that's exactly what I'm going to expect to happen with this next movie, Star Wars movie. If you look at Solo had so many problems in pre-production, and then all the bullshit that happened during the actual filming. You can look into it and do all this stuff if you want. I wasn't honestly that prepared for this video, so you have this movie which started off late, and instead of just pushing the date back a little bit, there were no movies to fight. No big movies, no summer blockbusters. Star Wars is like the Christmas wintertime movie, right? So you could have pushed it back a little bit, pushed it back maybe even just like a month to after the holidays, right? Like, fuck it, just make it like New Year's Day. Boom, Star Wars. I don't know, bring in 2020 with fucking the New Year's Star Wars. I don't know. Like, it doesn't seem like that honestly would have destroyed sales. And I think that that extra time might have let them produce a movie that isn't shit. Because, let's be honest, Solo was nothing except a mediocre movie. At its absolute best, it was a mediocre movie. I think if you look at it and break it apart, it was kind of fucking trash. But that is just my personal opinion. I think I'm also of the opinion that if you don't, like I said, look at it as a Star Wars intense fan like me, and you just look at it like, oh, I'm just gonna go see a movie. Oh, it's got a Star Wars name, but I just want to see whatever movie. Like, it's okay. It's not gonna like break you. But for me, as someone who comes from a history of Star Wars, you take all of fucking Han Solo. You have free reign. You have comics. You have so much stuff to go with, and you condense all of that into this heap of shit that takes place, what, like 2 weeks, 3 weeks before fucking the new Star Wars, like, or I'm sorry, not the new Star Wars, the old Star Wars, like I think it was. It starts. This is before Episode 4, so it just like happens like 2 weeks before Episode 4, right? So it's like, bro, you had all of this. You had everything. You had the world. You could have done anything in the world. And Solo is the best you got. Like, when you set the bar with Rogue One, like when you release that as your first Star Wars story movie, right? Rogue One, as far as I'm concerned, top tier Star Wars movie. Top fucking tier Star Wars movie. Perfectly written, great characters, great actors, sick, just so sick of a movie, right? I mean, like, I literally am obsessed with that movie. I can't stop talking about it. And the main character, I actually don't know the actress's name. Badass. Like, she was not advertised at all during this fucking movie. Like, she was not the focus of this movie during all the trailers and all of the pre-prep. You know, it was the story as a whole. And then she just happened to be inside of it and be fucking badass, right? Back in the time when you didn't have to explain everything, you could just show people. Quick little tangent. That's why I loved Battle Angel Alita so much, because they didn't explain, like, oh, you're so strong, blah, blah, blah. I mean, they had like one scene where he was like, oh yeah, berserkers were these kinds of people. It was like a minute 30 tops. And that was it, right? And then the rest of the movie was them just showing her with insane action, crazy fights, awesome CGI. I mean, 10 out of fucking 10 movie, period. I thought that movie was dope. I thought it was, as close at the best comic book movie I'd seen in a long time, aside from the Marvel movies, right? And those were comics, at least that, I mean, I invested a lot of time into and read a lot when I was growing up. So I personally, at least from a Alita fan, as far as I'm concerned, I think it was great, and that's all that matters to me. But, that was just an example. That little tangent was just an example of how you don't have to define everything, and you don't have to like point everything out. You don't have to be like, this is this, this is this, this is this. Like, oh, look at Captain Marvel. It's like, look, you can't do this because you're a girl. It's like, and they had like a line like that. It's like, couldn't you have done something better? Could you have played it out in a scene instead of like had this little like 80s montage of like speaking down to girls? It's like, honestly, seriously, I mean, and if there's any military people watching this, I'd love to fucking know who it actually says now, like, and who seriously goes like, it's called a cockpit for a reason, girl, or like whatever. It's like, who says that? Like, do you think you would have made it that far in the military if you talked like that and you had that attitude? In reality, the military is not like the movies. You get your shit kicked in fast if you have that kind of attitude. Like, so I just, it's just so forced when you have these movies that I don't know how much more proof you want. Like, I just don't have any more proof what you want. Like, Rogue One was so sick and so good, and it's like all you had to do was just like do that again. I don't know. Like, I'm not saying I wanted exactly Rogue One, like a repeat Rogue One, but it's like, like what fans wanted was there. Like, after the movie came out, you had all of this positive responses. We liked this. We liked this. We liked this. Be like, okay, let's incorporate more storytelling that is along those lines in Solo, right? Instead, they produce hot garbage. So, I mean, and then, so that was Rogue One. You've got Alita, which is another one. Like, the Underworld franchise. They didn't, like, they said, what's her face was like, part of the elite squad or whatever, but they showed you from the first fucking fight she ever did, the first gunplay, you're watching, you're just like, oh shit, okay, this bitch is shooting through walls, this bitch is blowing people's heads off, like, all sorts of crazy shit. Badass. You don't need to explain to me that she's badass, because you could just show me she's badass, right? And man, and the arrogance to say like some of the things they say about women when we have literally when did Alien come out? In the 80s, right? I mean, what's her face has been kicking ass since the 80s. Fuck, I can't remember her name. You know who I'm talking about though. But Jesus, like, damn, it's like all these movies now. And getting it back to Star Wars, I'm just waiting for Star Wars to just go down the drain, because this next movie's coming up, and I mean, like, all of the old cast is dead. Everyone's dying off. Chewie just died like fucking 4 days ago, right? I mean, they killed off Han. Luke is dead, but he's alive. I'm calling it now. This is like one of those like spoiler things. Luke is gonna be a fucking ghost in like half of this next movie. I'm telling you. Like, they killed him off too soon. They wrote off characters. Cassie Carrie is dead. They have all these like fucking the fish guy's dead. They can't bring like and they've introduced the fact that now you could just like suicide a ship and apparently kill a fucking massive destroyer. Why don't you just fucking do that to every ship and every planet now for the rest of the fucking franchise? I mean, the precedent it sets is just fucking stupid. And we've got these scenes that are just, I mean, fuck, The Last Jedi, there was so much. Like that whole casino scene, why did you have to explain everything? Why did it have to be like, oh, these guys are doing this. Oh, these are that. This is what's happening. Oh, blah, 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 blah. It's like, there was no way you couldn't have told us that through storytelling. You literally had to explain every single thing, you know? And even the worst part is even if they did it right and they fucking had a real nice scene, it would still feel forced. In Avengers, I thought honestly that the girls coming together scene was natural-ish considering where everyone spawned and where the groups were and who was doing what. I thought it made sense why they had it. I was like, okay. But contrast to a few scenes before or after, I can't remember, in the movie, where Scarlet Witch, with the exception of when, except for when he, like, Thanos basically was like, okay, I can't deal with you, I gotta get you out of here, and he moved on to the next person, Scarlet Witch was kicking Thanos' ass, because if you don't remember, she's powered by a fucking Infinity Stone. So her fucking magic, she's OP as shit. Like, did you not see her beat the shit out of Thanos? Like, bro, she's such a sick character. Like, and they didn't explain any of this. They just showed us it. Scarlett Johansson doesn't stop and be like, hey, I'm going to beat these guys up, and that's because I'm a woman and an empowering woman. No, she just runs up there and just starts beating ass. Like, it's so ridiculous that they have these things in the same movie. It's like they know, they're doing that, what I say, they're trying to show as much, but then they also have to appeal to this culture, and bringing it back to Star Wars, this whole appealing to culture shit. I mean, Star Wars is just going down the drain, dude. They killed off all the old cast. Now they're just moving on to fucking, I think it was something online that I saw, and I agree with that. I think it's a pretty good theory that they're killing off the Jedi, and now they're done with the Jedi, and they're going to move on to the Skywalkers, even though all the Skywalkers are dead. Oh, because they explained it that Rey's fucking nobody and Finn's just like Stormtrooper, unless he's got Jedi DNA inside him. Maybe he's like Mace Windu's son. They spliced his fucking DNA. Who the fuck knows? Maybe they've got Rey. They're gonna fucking somehow write their way out of that. It's like, oh, you're not someone, you're a Skywalker, hey, and then now you're gonna take over because she's the new strong woman. And for the record, I love Rey. For the record, I love 90% of the actors in this movie, or all the movies. I think that the casting is great. Everything, if you looked at these not critically as a Star Wars fan, these are all fine movies. These are all whatever movies. If you don't really think about these things, they're okay movies, but if you, I mean, it's getting harder and harder to ignore it, It's getting so much harder to ignore it. And it's frustrating as hell. And I think that's why the sales are going to go down, because people, I mean, I'm going to see it because it's Star Wars. I'm going to see it morning, 6 a.m., I'm going to see that shit ASAP, right? And it's going to be interesting to see whether or not it's like Avengers for me. Am I going to tell everybody I know, post on Snapchat, do everything I can to tell other people to see Avengers? Or am I going to be like, just wait till it comes out on Prime? Because I'd really not like for it to be the latter. I'd love for it to be the former. But like I said, I'm pretty skeptical. I think the Skywalkers are going to take over. We're going to see more PC bullshit. And they're just, the plot's going down the shitter. Used to be about sci-fi stuff. I thought this was a sci-fi like, movie. Now it's just like it seems like everything that happens, it's like, okay, so if aliens had a space casino, it would look exactly like a human casino. Like they couldn't have made it. It just seems like the creativity's gone, and it's just they're pumping out these average movies to make money, to just like do whatever. But it's only so long till people just get fucking tired of this, and they're like, okay, give me something that's truly special. Give me something like Deadpool. Give me something like, I think, to a lesser extent, I think honestly it was more family friendly, but I thought just Shazam was great. I thought Shazam was a terrific movie. Definitely worth seeing in theaters if you haven't. Um, Shit, what's another good? Quentin Tarantino makes good movies as well. Good like good movies. But it's hard to find good movies right now. But that'll be another video for later. Yeah, I hope you like the new, right? It looks good, the whole thing. Video for setting up the Lego thing will be up later.